Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the whiteboards. Now, we started this conversation, so we're going to start with a quick review, and then I'm going to tell you a little more information about creating interactive whiteboards. First of all, we said to load your PowerPoint, you're going to click on the Load Content button. So the first step is to create the PowerPoint. You create the PowerPoint, you save it to your computer, and you make sure that the PowerPoint program is completely closed. That is important, because if you try to load the PowerPoint with the PowerPoint presentation open, you're going to get an error message. So first step is to create the PowerPoint and then make sure the PowerPoint is closed. Then as a moderator, let me remind you where this is, you have this little Load Content button as a moderator. Notice it looks a little different than your platform. You don't have this button, and just to remind you why, you are participants. You are not a moderator, so only Rahim and I are the only moderators in this classroom today, so we're the only ones that have the load content for now. I will give you moderator privileges just like I did last time, but I'm going to do it a little bit later today. All right, so you're going to click on the Load Content button. It will allow you to search for your PowerPoint on your computer. Once you click on that PowerPoint, it will go through a conversion process. And basically what it does is take a static image of each one of your PowerPoint slides, so that if you had any kind of animation on your whiteboard, if you had a clickable link, embedded audio or video, those things would not be active because it will essentially be the background to your slide. So what you're going to want to do is add animation or clickable links to your slide after it comes into this environment. So I can go and grab just to remind you, I can go and grab a link, and then I can bring it back to this platform and I can add it to the whiteboard. And then of course you can use your whiteboard toolbar, the selection tool that is at the very top of your toolbar. Once you click on your selection tool, you'll be able to click on this link. You'll be able to click on Mr. Eagle and Mr. Fish, and you can move these things around and edit it, because anything that's been added after the fact, like I just did, can be interactive. Okay? So what happens when you load either a PowerPoint, let's come back to this page because I want to talk to you a little bit about saving whiteboards. So once you have created a fun interactive activity, which I'm going to give you a few more examples, you're going to want to save it. So you'll go to the File menu, you'll go to Save, you'll select Whiteboard. You're going to indicate what it is you want to save, either the entire presentation or just the current page that you're working on. Maybe you're trying to work on a fun little activity, so you just want to save that one page. You're going to give the activity a name, and you're going to save it as a whiteboard file. The whiteboard file will contain your PowerPoint as well as all the things that you've added to it, all those interactive pieces. Now remember, I did give you a tip on Tuesday that whenever you create an activity, you should save it twice. You should go through the process of saving it, giving it a name, save it as a whiteboard file, but then go through the process again, keep it as the same file name, but also save it as a PDF. The reason for that is the whiteboard file is going to be a proprietary file type, meaning that it can only be opened and viewed within this platform. So if you want to look at your materials outside of this environment, you would then also have a PDF that you could open up and look at without having to load it up into this environment just to take a look at it. Okay? Now let's go back and let's talk about the basic steps for creating an interactive whiteboard. Then I'm going to give you guys a couple of more examples. So the basic steps for creating a whiteboard is to either start with a PowerPoint, and just think about that. Anything that is on the PowerPoint will automatically be stuck to the background. Your audience will not be able to move it around. Okay, so that's important for you to know because there are certain things you're not going to want your audience to move around. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Say, for instance, directions for the activity. Maybe you don't want them to move those directions around. So starting with a PowerPoint is always a good idea because anything that you want stationary, put it on your PowerPoint. You can start with a clean whiteboard, and I'm going to teach you if there are some things that you want stuck to the background where they can't be moved. I'm going to teach you how to do that in just a minute. You're going to add images, your clip art. A couple people said, hey Sherry, how'd you get those cool push pins that you had on the map? You can actually find those push pins in the whiteboard toolbar, which is the collection or the tool at the very bottom of your toolbar. Anything that you add to the board is object-oriented, meaning that it can be moved and resized. So once you organize it the way that you want it to look, the final step is to save it as a WBD file to maintain the interactive quality of the activity. So let's take a look at this activity. First of all, notice that the instructions are locked to the background. So I could have, and these things are locked to the background. I can't move them. So I could have started with a PowerPoint, add my instructions, put these things on my PowerPoint, and then load it into this environment. Once I load it into this environment, I can then add my graphics because all of these graphics are movable. So now I've just created an interactive activity that you guys can interact with as a group because you all have your whiteboard tools. So everybody go find your whiteboard toolbar, click on the selection tool, which is the tool at the very top of your toolbar, and then go ahead and let's work together as a group and let's see if we can match the graphics on the right to the correct label on the left. Now keep in mind there are 16 of you working on this activity. If I wanted to make this an individual activity, remember I can remove your tools. I just took away everybody's tools, and then Angela, not to put you on the spot, I can give Angela only her permission to have her whiteboard tools. So now only Angela can move these tools. So we could basically, if I wanted this activity to be a one at a time activity, like Angela has her turn, and then Chris has a turn, and then Corey has a turn, I could do that, okay? So, but I don't want to do that. I want you all to work together, so I gave you back your whiteboard tools. So remember, you control who gets to work on these activities just by controlling the permissions. Now I'm going to load a few more examples for you just so you can see how fun these can be. Okay, so let's take a look at my soil whiteboard. Incidentally, if any of you are buddies with Charlene, Charlene did contact me afterwards and said, hey, I want some resources for K-3. Do you have any? And I did send her quite a lot of these, of my whiteboard files. So you might want to buddy up with her and see if she'll share them with you, okay? Okay, so first of all, notice where I got this. I got it from the web, so you can find a lot of resources from the web. So this could be my teaching piece. You do have to adhere to copyright laws, so make sure you're not breaking any laws. Then you could take a worksheet, and I've simply pasted the worksheet to the whiteboard, and then I typed in these labels. So again, this can be a fun review piece where I've got all of you working together to see if you remember where the correct pieces go, or this could actually be an assessment. I could bring one of you at a time into a breakout room and assess your ability to know what the soil layers are. Once we're finished with this activity, then you can go ahead and use your whiteboard toolbar and you can show me what the layers are, and then you could use your text tool to go ahead and label it. And I have no idea if this is bedrock, but I'm just going to take a little guess and just to show you that then you can have students label the areas. Okay. Let me take you to, let me load one more. For the little guys, let me find a language arts one. Okay, if we're talking about story sequence, we could go through this and you know, we could kind of put things where they belong. Okay? So first, next, and last. Let's see if I can find a more exciting one. So we did science, we did language arts. Oh, let's do this one, geometry terms. Okay, so we could actually move the label to the correct shape, and then it could have more than one answer, so be prepared to explain why. So this is just another example of interactive activities, and then I could do something like this. Let me find another one of my favorite ones. Here's Illuminate Jeopardy. So let me just kind of show you how this was made. I'm going to kind of take it apart a little bit and move these aside. So first of all, I created a slide, and that's what you see. The green and blue background was created on a PowerPoint using the table tool in PowerPoint. Then I came into this environment and I simply drew a square using my whiteboard toolbar. I used the filled in square tool. I picked the color that I wanted and I drew a square over each one of the grids. Okay. I also put a point value on there. Now let's go back and see why the point value and the square are kind of stuck together. Let's see. Oh, okay. So you can also group things. So the square that I drew, if I put a number on it, I would be able to select them both. Once I had them both selected by holding down my Shift key, I could right-click and group those objects. So you do have a couple of right-click options that you can use when you are creating things like this. So the Illuminate Jeopardy game was created by drawing my square, adding my point value, just using the text tool on my whiteboard toolbar. Then I selected both things, and then I right-click and then I group them so that the things move together. Okay. Let's see how you guys are doing. Green check mark means that I completely understand. Red X means, let me load that Jeopardy again because that's not the way it's supposed to work. There we go. So the way that you would play this game is that I would divide you all into teams. So we would have 2 different teams. Say you're team A, you're on team A, it's your turn. You would say, I take web tour for 10 points. If you answered the question correctly, then I could come in and put, if you're the red team, I could come in and put a red square on this and claim it for your team. So at the end, whoever gets the most points win.